thank you very much. It's good to be with you all. I want to first off just welcome you to our an opportunity to really address a multitude of announcements because I've been busy since I've been appointed to the Ministry of Energy and Electrification by our Premier. First off, I was in Romania within days of being appointed to help sell Canadian refurbishment of CANDU reactors in the country. We signed a deal, $374 million investment. It's going to create jobs for Ontarians. We also announced that the small modular reactor, those are the small nuclear reactors we're building in Ontario for the world, is on time and on budget as we build the first of four. The first small modular reactor of its kind in the G7 being built right here in Ontario under our Premier and government's leadership. We're very excited about this as we produce clean, affordable, and reliable energy. And of course, since then, we've announced $1 billion in hydroelectric refurbishments, very important as we further produce clean energy that is dependable and affordable for Ontario families. We invested in continuing to maintain and extend the life of those assets for another generation so that our kids and grandkids have access to clean energy. And of course, I just announced a plan as well, not long ago with the Premier to expand natural gas pipeline in many parts of Southern Ontario to help make energy more affordable for families, because our number one priority for Premier Ford is affordability. Too many families struggled under the former Liberals to eat or to heat their homes, and energy poverty was a real challenge. And our commitment is to never go back, to focus on affordable energy that allows our parents, our pensioners, our seniors, new Canadians, the necessities of power, not luxuries to drive your kids to school or to heat your home in the winter. So we are pragmatic, we are forward-looking, and we are committed to producing more energy for the people of Ontario. And that's why it's so important. We invest in nuclear and hydroelectric, and yes, in renewable energy too. We are committed to affordable, reliable energy. And we're going to be producing much more as our economy grows and our economy electrifies, moving away from coal and using electricity. So it's a huge opportunity for our government and our province, and we're leaning in, understanding that affordable energy is our Premier's number one priority. So with that, I'll then turn it back to you, Shannon, and happy to take a few questions.
All right, perfect. So first, I'm going to go to Sarah with VIP 51.
Thank you, Shannon. Hello, Minister.
Hi there.
Hi. So my question is, could you explain some more details about how those programs will work to save the cost for the households and the businesses? Thank you.
You know, saving money is going to be the number one priority for Premier Ford. He believes after so many families were choosing between heating and heating under the Liberals, now more than ever, we need to have affordable energy. And the Liberals of Ontario, not only are they in favor of a carbon tax, which will make it more expensive to live, to heat your home, to run air conditioning in the summer, to put gas in your vehicle, put food on the table. These are the necessities. And so we stand up against a regressive carbon tax. The Liberals are campaigning to not just maintain it, but to increase it. And our message to Bonnie Crombie and the provincial Liberals is, you're going to make Kathleen Wynne's energy rates seem affordable if Bonnie Crombie had her way. And we will never allow our province to revert back into energy poverty. We're not going to allow parents and seniors to be put into that unconscionable position. We're going to provide affordable energy, which is why nuclear is so important for the future. It's why we're also investing in renewables, solar and wind as well. We now have the ability to store the energy. So we really do believe that affordable energy is important. Now, keep in mind, we asked the independent electricity systems operator, we asked them for their objective advice on what would happen if we followed the Liberal policy of eliminating natural gas in all homes in Ontario by 2035. And they said that the Liberal plan on energy would lead to skyrocketing rates and brownouts and blackouts in Ontario. So this is a dangerous approach Our premier is committed to ensuring that we have a clean energy grid. Roughly 90% of our energy is non-emitting, meaning 90% is emission-free. We're proud of that. We have one of the cleanest electricity grids on the continent, just behind Quebec. Number two, we're proud of being a leader. We're going to continue to be a superpower. And when it comes to producing clean, reliable, and yes, affordable energy for the people of Ontario.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Next, I'm going to go to Nitin with Prime Asia.
Thank you, Shannon. Hello, Minister. And first of all, congratulations for the new post as the Minister of Energy and Electrification. We wish you all the best into that.
Thank you.
Minister, last week, you announced a natural gas expansion to unlock the growth. How about the electricity? And what is being done to ensure you have the electricity to power this unprecedented growth?
Absolutely. So on the natural gas side, this is an expansion of natural gas to people's homes. It's going to save them roughly $1,500 a year. It could be as high as $2,500 a year, which is a significant savings for families in this difficult economy. And that's why our premier and I were there together to celebrate progress we're making to deliver affordable energy that families can rely on when they need it, on those coldest days of the winter and the hottest days of summer, that they have access to affordable energy. So we're very proud of that announcement, led by Enbridge, over $300 million pipeline they are investing in. That's going to help expand access to affordable energy and reliable energy, because natural gas is available when you need it. It's a turn switch. You turn it on and off. It's unlike some of the renewables where you can't harness it when you need it. This is peak. You could use it when you need it. And that's so important for families and farmers and seniors as well. When it comes to the future of energy, it's a really important question, because we are expecting at least a 60% increase in energy that's going to be forecasted between now and 2050. We need 60% more energy, conservatively 60%. The question is, how do we get there? How do we produce that energy at the scale we need? We are investing in nuclear. We are refurbishing and extending the life of the Pickering nuclear plant. We are expanding and refurbishing the Bruce Pickering plant. And we are, of course, putting 4 small modular reactors at Darlington. This is a massive investment in our energy security to deliver emission-free, clean energy for Ontario families for another generation. That's going to add thousands of megawatts, the equivalent of literally producing enough energy for millions of homes in Ontario. We're also better improving and optimizing our hydroelectric fleet. We've invested $1 billion to renew the life of them, so another generation of Canadians could benefit from clean energy. So we're taking a focused approach on all the above. We need more renewables. We're going to need more nuclear. We're certainly going to need hydroelectric. And so we're investing today to produce reliable and affordable energy tomorrow. That's our premier's commitment. We're not going to allow this to be a last minute thing like the former Liberals did, where they scrambled and it cost families that they paid the price. We're planning ahead, we're thinking ahead, and we're building for our future generations so that our children and our grandchildren have affordable energy too.
Can I have a follow-up, please?
Yep.
Okay. Minister, Ontario signed the major nuclear deals abroad. If you can let us know where these deals are with which country, and also can Ontario, because this is a major investment, and can Ontario export also a nuclear agreement with other countries in the South Asia also?
So small modular reactors are critical to our export vision. Keep in mind that Ontario is producing the first grid scale small modular reactor in the G7. We're the first in the entire G7 to be leading as a nuclear superpower. And so, yes, we are exporting this technology in the country, starting with New Brunswick and Saskatchewan, Alberta have already put their hand up wanting small modular reactors in their provinces that benefit Ontarians and our jobs in this province. Poland has $100 billion of interest in exploratory interest in SMRs. Czech Republic, Estonia, Latvia. There's a huge emerging interest in the world for our technology and our ingenuity when it comes to nuclear, because it's reliable, it's safe, and it, of course, is affordable energy, among the most affordable. So we see a huge opportunity that Ontario can produce energy for the world, clean energy that is affordable for their economies and families. And I think this is a massive opportunity for Ontario to demonstrate that we are a clean energy superpower in the world, to create jobs for Canadians, opportunities for our families, and grow our economy in Ontario by exporting our technology ingenuity to the world. So it's a huge play, and our premier is leading the way in this respect because he really sees Ontario as a solution to some of the great challenges the world faces when it comes to creating, reducing emissions. Many of these economies rely on coal. In the US, we have an agreement with Tennessee Valley, one of the largest utilities, to build SMRs there. Keep in mind, the US, many US states still have 20, 30, 50% coal energy. We have no coal in Ontario. The progressive conservative government in the early 2000s started the plan to decommission coal. Many US economies still have coal. So we have an opportunity to go abroad and sell that as our value proposition. It's a clean, it's affordable, and it'll displace coal energy. The final thought is we can displace dependence on foreign regimes. Look at what happened in Russia and Ukraine, how the Russians used natural gas as a tool of war. Why are we depending on the countries and states that don't share our values and frankly undermine us from an economic and trade and national security perspective? So I want to lean in to our shared democratic values and work with nations who need our help. In the US, for example, is looking for clean energy. We have a solution for them. So we're going to really play into that. You may have noticed in the US, Democrats, Republicans, they're all talking about energy security. It's a bipartisan reality. We need to demonstrate that we share their allies and we will share our technology for the benefit of their economies and, of course, for the benefit of Canadian workers.
Thank you, Rich.
And that's why I was in Washington just last week to help sell Canadian technology to the world. I actually had a meeting with the assistant secretary of energy in the Biden administration, and there's a ton of interest. The world is literally watching Ontario. They want to understand how they can duplicate our leadership in producing clean energy that is affordable for families.
So which was a challenging role, being a minister as an education or being minister as an energy? Because this is not a question just because that sector is also missing such a dynamic minister. Like now you move to minister energy and electrification.
Oh my goodness. Well, I should say Todd Smith is an amazing man. In addition to being a dear friend of mine, he has a big heart. He cares about our kids. His kids are in publicly funded schools. And he's a wonderful public servant. He's been in this for a good 10 plus years. He cares. He really does. He's a proud Canadian. He's done a ton of work with children, with the military families. I think he's going to be an absolutely amazing Minister of Education. And look, I was there for 5 years. I was the longest serving for a generation. So I'm honored. I'm proud. I'm proud to have worked with all of you over those years. And there's lots of ups and downs, but as I've learned, it was the right time. It was the right time to move on. And look, I've got a ton of energy. You guys all know this, so I'm going to bring it to a ministry that's going to require, that type of focus. And I'm going to build upon the good work that Todd laid the groundwork for. But look, I have total confidence in him. He's going to do amazing things, and I think he has the same instinct about me. The fact that we went to Romania together, those right away, a couple of days after, it gave us an opportunity to transition. And in politics, it's like a turn switch. Cabinet shuffles are very inhumane. You get called, you get told, and you just move. Your staff stay, and it can be very sad. But thankfully, we were together. We had an opportunity to learn from each other, share advice, and that really set us both up for success. So I'm telling you, Todd's going to be amazing. He's a beautiful, colorful, kind, affable man, and he's going to get a ton done. So have confidence in him. I have confidence in him. I want you to as well, Nitin.
All right. Thank you. Next, I'm going to go to Lynn with 1059.
Hi, thank you, Shannon. Good afternoon, Minister. First, congrats on your appointment as Minister of Energy. My question is, how will the refurbishment of these hydroelectric generating station affect electricity rates for residents? Can they expect Can they expect any changes in their electricity bill? I think you mentioned a little. Could you elaborate more? Thank you.
Sorry, the second question on NATO.
Yeah, can
Yeah.
residents expect any changes in their energy bills?
Yeah, yeah. So no, we've got a very responsible approach. The Ontario Energy Board regulates. These investments will be amortized over a long time because these assets are going to be with us for another 40, 50 years. So it's a very affordable program. So you should not expect to see an increase. In fact, our government have stabilized hydro rates after the Liberals skyrocketed by hundreds of percent, forcing so many families in energy poverty. So we are very proud of this investment, over $1 billion, and it's essentially enough energy to produce the equivalent energy for about 1.6 million homes. So it's essentially 1,600 megawatts is roughly 1.6 million homes. That's the equivalent of the energy we're producing from hydroelectric, and we're optimizing it, meaning we're making it more efficient, the infrastructure, which means it's going to produce even more energy, clean energy. So we're proud of the investment. We believe in laying the groundwork in refurbishing these 45 units. And I visited them personally, one of them, the big one in Chanot and others, to thank the workers, to say, look, you guys work around the clock. You're producing the finest clean energy in the country. And I went there to thank them. But I can assure you our rates will be affordable. They will be reliable. Our energy will be clean. And we will do it without imposing a punitive carbon tax, as the Liberals would do on the working parents and families and seniors of our province. On the NATO point, I was at the Canada-US Nuclear Summit in Washington, D.C. It was taking place during the margins of NATO. At the NATO summit, there's a great focus on energy security. Many nations are thinking about how do we lean into our democratic allies and partners around the world that we can produce energy that is reliable and is affordable, is clean, but fundamentally, it's not dependent on those states that perhaps that do not have our interests and do not have our backs and work against our interests, be it in national security or trade or in other ways. And so Russia is a really compelling example. We saw what they did to Europe when they turned off natural gas in the middle of the winter. It is a tool of war. We need to smarten up as a country and think about how do we lean into the provinces east and west as a real team, as a real country, and how do we support our allies in NATO with clean energy production. And so I think nuclear is the way forward. We have a value we want to promote. We want to promote this message to the world. It's why I went to Romania. It's why I was in Washington, D.C. It's why I went to Calgary just a few weeks ago for the energy ministers meeting for all of Canada, where I said to the other provinces and territories, we have a solution. Put your hand up and we will be there to support you. And I think there's a huge opportunity for Ontario to lead the way in the world. So that's why I emphasize the importance of our allies, because many countries are realizing there's an intersection of their national security with their energy security. And I think Canada could play a wonderfully positive role in helping to provide nuclear energy to our partners around the world.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'm going to go to Jasmine with Y Media.
Hello, Minister. Firstly, I would like to congratulate you on behalf of Y Media Group on your appointment as Minister of Energy and Electrification. My question to you is that how will these refurbishments contribute to Ontario's long-term sustainability and emission reduction goals?
What is Ontario's long-term emission reduction goal? So Ontario has one of the cleanest electricity grids on the continent. Roughly 90% of electricity in Ontario is emission-free. We're proud of that. We're going to actually be increasing the percentage of energy that is emission-free because we're investing in nuclear energy. We're expanding and extending the life of Pickering's nuclear site. We're expanding Bruce's Pickering site. And of course, we're building small modular reactors at Darlington. So that plus more renewable energy and including more hydroelectric energy, all of this will lead to an even cleaner grid. Ontario is one of the only jurisdictions in the country that's actually meeting our greenhouse gas emission targets. The federal government cannot say so, and they focus all the time on climate change, and yet they're not even meeting their own emission targets. And yet here we are in Ontario, while our economy is growing, without imposing a carbon tax, we have reduced emissions. So we've demonstrated to the people, to investors, to businesses, and to families, we care about the environment. We're committed to protecting it, all while growing the economy. And both can be true. It's not an either or proposition. We are expanding our economy while reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. And we're going to keep doing that as we produce more nuclear emission-free energy for the people of Ontario, affordable energy for families.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, next I'll go to Bill with Greca TV. Oh, Bill, unmute.
Good luck to your new duties, Minister.
Thank you.
Admittedly, you've been a very successful minister in your previous post, and it's quite clear that the Premier has entrusted to your leadership a very important ministry. So good luck to everything you do. I'll ask you very quickly one question, and I'll follow up with my main question. Is there more to read behind the addition in the name of the ministry to electrification? Does that symbolize where we're heading? Can we read much more than what the name says?
It's an important point, because the future of the economy is going to be electric. The electrification, it speaks to the electrification of industry. You know, we used to produce Defasco, you know, big manufacturer,
Steel company.
Steel, you know, they manufacture, produce steel, and big company in Hamilton. They used to use coal to energize their plant. We converted them to electricity. So they're now electric furnaces that produce no emissions. You know, you see what's happening with the auto sector and EVs, with electric vehicles. So yes, what it does is it signals to the country, to the markets and the world, that we see a future of electric energy to displace coal and more energy, more fuel, and carbon intensive sources of energy. And what the government is signaling is that it's an important priority for us too, both from an environmental perspective, but economic, because there's the first mover's advantage. If you do it first, you solidify your industry. Look what we did with EV. We weren't on the map, and now we're the top EV producer in the world. We also have the rare critical minerals in Northern Ontario. So we've got the minerals in the north, the manufacturing capability in the south, and we're creating work for families from the most northern parts of our province, Indigenous and other people in the skilled workforce that otherwise wouldn't have had an opportunity to get a good job, and a job with pensions. And these are good jobs. These are high income jobs. So we're very proud of this transition, and we're going to keep focusing on incentivizing industry to reduce their emissions. But what we won't do is we're not going to penalize working families, the worker, the parent, the senior, new Canadians. We're not going to penalize them with higher taxes. That's not an environmental plan. That's just that's just a tax grab, and everyone sees through it. And so we're going to stand up against Bonnie Crombie's plan to increase the carbon tax. It's just wrong. It hurts people. Like, most families can't afford their mortgage today because the interest rates are still so high. And yet we have political parties who think it's sensible to increase costs. It's just crazy. And I think they'll pay the price of the ballot box. I'm convinced of this, because I went knocking on doors last week in my own community, in a more middle-class area of my community, and the cost of living was the number one issue. I had a little bit on crime, but the cost of living was number one by far. 60-70% of people raised that issue with me. So we are going to continue to focus on that affordable energy production, and make the case that the Liberal plan is just to raise revenues so that they can spend money, because they believe they know how to spend money better than you. And that's the philosophical difference between progressive Conservatives and Liberals. Is I trust you and your viewers to make the best decisions for themselves, how to raise their kids, how to balance their budgets, how to invest their dollars. The Liberals, they seem to think they know better, they know best, and I don't think so. I think politicians should stay away. I think we were once told budgets balance themselves, and I think we all know, anyone who owns a home or raising a family knows that it requires discipline, fiscal discipline, You have to have the ability to say no. But today we're saying yes to clean energy and we're investing in it, but we are saying no to the carbon tax. That's for sure.
Thank you, Minister. In your news releases, it's quite clear how the government intends to rely on reliable and cheap energy
Yes.
for Ontario. And while most people understand hydroelectric power generation with water, with CANDU reactors for nuclear power, and we understand everything. Can you please enlighten most of the people what this fusion energy technology mean that scientists seem, as you say in your news release, rely most as the future of energy production?
Yeah, I mean, look, to be clear, we really see nuclear as the future, but and to be fair, nuclear fusion is still in development. So, I'll happily return to speak to you about the future of this space. There's a lot of work by physicists in the world and the country on the breakthrough of fusion. For now, nuclear energy and small modular reactors are actually the greatest technological advancement. Miniaturized nuclear, where you could build them in the size of it's like the size of a community center, a small building. It's incredible what can be done, and we can produce 300 megawatts of energy, which is an incredible output. You could drop those in some of the most remote parts of the country. It could be from deserts to the Arctic, to the middle of a nation that doesn't have energy. You can build an SMR and help bring energy and economic development to those regions. So there's a massive opportunity for SMRs to be the future. And I think that's really what we're leaning into more than anything else. I certainly supportive of the practical exploration of fusion technology. But for now, what is proven is that we can, Canada and Ontario has a track record of building nuclear on time and on budget. And our small modular reactors are on time and ahead and on budget, which is unheard of in this space. So we're very proud of that. It's part of what it's our pitch to the world that we've done it, we've proven it, and now we want to do it for you too, so that we can create value and monetize it, and wealth for Ontarians, and revenue for government, and jobs for the Ontario families.
All right. Thank you. And this is our last question. I'm going to go to Logan with Udayan Weekly.
Yes, Minister, very happy to be listening to you about the achievements and the initiatives as a new Minister of Energy. So during your stay in the Ministry in Education, not only we spread the news, also we learned a lot about the system, about the curriculum and other stuff. And like this, I hope that we are going to learn more about the province's electricity production. So my question is, Minister, I was told, or I heard, that the province of Ontario was selling electricity or power to USA. Is that true? And my other question is, you talk about the hydroelectric plants. How many hydroelectric plants in Ontario? So my third question, also a very humble one. So next time when you visit to do any or any electric plants nearby, so can we take a few of us media people from GTA?
So the investment we made is to refurbish 45 units at all 8 of the generating stations in Eastern Ontario. And once completed, this is, those stations are expected to produce up to 100 gigawatts. So gigawatt hour. So that's essentially powering additional power for 11,000 homes on top of the 1.6 million homes that hydroelectric is producing. So we're excited about that, and that's why we're making the investments today to maintain this critical infrastructure for the next 30 to 40 years. That's why we made that investment in clean, affordable energy. What was the last question? The last one you just mentioned?
Whether because uh, people like me who would like to visit the power station, so the hydro, not only hydro, any electric plant, generating plant in nearby. So I remember we were invited with the premier one to the Pickering plant, and so if we visit the plant personally,
Okay.
so we would like to, we can learn more about it.
Yeah. I would love to organize. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe what we'll do, Shannon, is we'll organize. I'll work with PG and maybe some of the nuclear space just to organize a bit of uh, um, a tutorial on the future of nuclear, the investments, the needs, the independent assessments. That would be very smart, and I think that'd be a great idea. Look, at the very least, it allows us to learn about the problem that or the opportunity. Depends how you see it. I see it as an opportunity, but look, we need to produce a ton of energy. Like we have to 60% more. It's an incredible amount of energy. So understanding the grid, understanding the choices and the costs and the benefits, I think make a lot of sense. So I will work to organize that with Shannon, and I think it's a great idea. So, thank you so much, Logan.
All right, thank you. So that was the last question. Minister, if you had any final words, and then we can wrap up and let everyone enjoy their evening.
I don't, you know what, I've said it to you all. I appreciate that you joined me tonight. Thank you again. And as I've said to my team, we'll do more of these. We've got a lot of announcements coming, particularly into September, late August, September, October. So you'll see a lot of me for good or for bad. And I just want to thank you all for joining. I appreciate it.
Good.
All right, thank you. And if anybody needs the recording of this, please send me an email and I'll send it over.
Okay. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.